The last transmission. The distant stars cast their ancient light across the void as Commander Crix guided his patrol ship through the outer rim of the Nexus sector. His elongated fingers, characteristic of the Zephyrian species, danced across the control panel with practiced precision. The routine patrol had been uneventful for cycles, just the way he preferred it. That was about to change. "Commander, I'm detecting an anomalous energy signature," Lieutenant Vera announced, her crystalline features catching the ambient light of the bridge displays. "Bearing 247 Mark 15, approximately 3 light minutes distant." Crix's secondary eyes opened, a sign of heightened interest among his kind. "Classification: unknown, sir. It's old. The signature doesn't match any current technology in our databases." The commander's curiosity piqued. In his 40 cycles of service, he'd encountered countless derelict ships and abandoned outposts. But something about this reading felt different. "Set course for intercept. Maintain defensive posture." As their sleek vessel approached the coordinates, a structure materialized from the darkness. It was massive, easily dwarfing their patrol craft, yet its design spoke of an elegance that seemed almost primitive by modern standards. The station hung in space like a forgotten monument, its hull scarred by millennia of micrometeorite impacts. "By the ancients," Vara whispered. "Commander, this architecture, it matches the historical records of human construction." Crix felt a chill run through his carapace. Humans. The very mention of the species stirred something primal in every sentient being across the galaxy. They had vanished 4,000 years ago, leaving behind only mysteries and legends. Some said they had ascended to a higher plane of existence. Others believed they had retreated to the galactic core. A few whispered darker theories of self-destruction or dimensional exile. "Scan for life signs," Crix ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of the discovery. "Negative on biological signatures, sir. But there's a power source still active deep within the structure. It's waiting." The docking procedure took longer than usual, their modern systems struggling to interface with the ancient human technology. When they finally breached the airlock, Crix led a small team into the station's interior. Emergency lighting flickered to life, casting long shadows down corridors that hadn't seen visitors in millennia. The architecture was unmistakably human, practical yet somehow artistic, with flowing lines that seemed to defy the rigid geometry favored by most spacefaring species. They moved cautiously through the facility, their footsteps echoing in the silence. "Commander, over here," called Specialist Dren, his tentacles gesturing toward a sealed door marked with human script. Crix recognized the ancient text. "Communications array. Authorized personnel only." With careful manipulation of the manual override, they gained entry to what appeared to be the station's primary purpose. The room beyond took their breath away. A massive holographic projector dominated the center, surrounded by banks of dormant computers. But what drew their attention was the single console that remained active, its screen displaying a countdown that had been running for 4,000 years. "It's a beacon," Vara breathed, her technical expertise immediately grasping the implications. "A deep space transmitter of incredible power. And it's been counting down to now." As if responding to her words, the countdown reached 0. The ancient machinery hummed to life, energy surging through systems that had waited patiently through the eons. The holographic projector activated, displaying a star map of the entire galaxy. A single point pulsed with brilliant blue light. Their current location. Then came the message. A human figure materialized in the hologram, wearing the uniform of what historical records identified as the United Earth Expeditionary Force. The man appeared middle-aged, with graying hair and eyes that held both determination and sorrow. "To whoever receives this message," the recording began, the human's voice clear despite the passage of time, "know that humanity has not abandoned you. We have not fled. We have not fallen. We have been preparing." Crix and his team stood transfixed as the message continued. 4,000 years ago, we made a discovery that changed everything. In the depths of space, beyond the galactic rim, we found evidence of something coming. Something that threatened not just humanity, but all life in this galaxy. The others didn't believe us. The Galactic Council dismissed our warnings as paranoia, as warmongering. So we made a choice. The star map shifted, showing humanity's former territories going dark one by one. We withdrew, not in defeat, but in preparation. Every human colony, every ship, every resource was redirected to a single purpose: to ready ourselves for what's coming. We've spent 4 millennia advancing our technology, training our people, and building a fleet unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. The hologram paused, the human's expression softening. But we never forgot our friends among the stars. This beacon was left as a promise. When the time came, when we were ready, we would call out. That time is now. The threat approaches. Humanity stands ready. The question is, will you stand with us? The message ended with coordinates, a location deep in unexplored space where humanity had apparently been hiding, preparing, waiting. Crix stood in stunned silence. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't disappeared. They had been marshaling their forces for 4,000 years. But for what? What could possibly require such extensive preparation? Commander, Vera's voice trembled. We need to inform the Galactic Council immediately. Crix nodded slowly. Prepare a priority transmission. Include the full recording and all sensor data. The Council needs to see this. As his team scrambled to comply, Crix remained fixated on the star map. The coordinates pulsed like a heartbeat, an invitation and a warning combined. Whatever humanity had been preparing for, whatever had driven them to such extreme measures, it was coming. The response from the Galactic Council was swift and contentious. The Grand Chamber on Nexus Prime buzzed with heated debate as representatives from 100 species argued over the implications of humanity's message. It's a deception, thundered Ambassador Gornak of the Threkari Empire, his 4 arms gesticulating wildly. Humans were always manipulative. This is clearly a ploy to regain their former influence. You didn't see the technology, Crix countered, having been summoned to provide first-hand testimony. That station was genuine, and it had been waiting for exactly 4,000 years. No deception could be that elaborate. The ethereal delegate, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline shell, pulsed with concern. The humans spoke of a threat. What if they speak truth? What if something does approach from beyond the rim? Then where is the evidence? Demanded another voice. Where are the scouts? The warnings, the data? We have seen nothing. Elder Specimen Satari, eldest of the council members, raised a withered appendage for silence. The humans were many things: aggressive, unpredictable, often troublesome. But they were never liars. If they say a threat comes, we must at least investigate. The debate continued for cycles, but eventually a consensus emerged. A coalition fleet would be assembled, representing the major powers of the galaxy. They would travel to the coordinates provided and make contact with humanity. If this was indeed a genuine warning, they needed to know. And if it was some elaborate deception, well, they would be prepared for that too. Crix found himself appointed to the expedition, his discovery of the beacon making him the closest thing they had to a human expert. As he stood on the bridge of the coalition flagship, watching the fleet prepare for departure, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to witness something that would change the galaxy forever. The jump to the coordinates would take several cycles, even with their most advanced FTL drives. As the stars stretched into lines around them, Crix reviewed everything they knew about humanity's disappearance. The historical records showed a civilization at its peak, spread across thousands of worlds, their technology advancing at an unprecedented rate. Then, within a single decade, they had simply withdrawn. Not a collapse, not a war, but an organized retreat that had puzzled historians for millennia. Commander Crix to the bridge, came the announcement as they approached their destination. Crix arrived to find the Coalition fleet dropping out of FTL at the edge of an unremarkable system. Long-range sensors showed nothing unusual, a few barren planets orbiting an aging star. But as they moved deeper into the system, anomalies began to appear. Energy signatures detected, reported the sensor officer. Massive structures in the outer system. They're artificial, and they're huge. The main screen resolved to show what their sensors had found. Defensive platforms the size of small moons floated in perfect formation. Shipyards that could construct vessels kilometers long. And in the distance, barely visible even to their best sensors, hints of a fleet that defied comprehension. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced, tension evident in his voice. It's in galactic standard. Someone's hailing us. A human face appeared on the main screen. Not a recording this time, but a living person. She wore a uniform similar to the one in the ancient message, but updated, modernized. Her eyes held a weight that spoke of responsibility and determination. Coalition Fleet, this is Admiral Chen of the United Human Defense Force. We've been expecting you. Welcome to Haven System. Welcome to humanity's vigil. The transmission cut briefly, then resumed. I imagine you have questions. We have answers. But first, you need to understand something. The threat we've been preparing for. It's closer than you think. And whether you choose to believe us or not, it's coming for us all. As the human fleet began to reveal itself, ship after ship emerging from hidden positions throughout the system, Crix realized that the legends had been wrong. Humanity hadn't ascended. They hadn't fled. They had been standing guard at the galaxy's edge, preparing for a war that no one else believed was coming. The real question now was whether the rest of the galaxy would stand with them when that war finally arrived. The return of the lost. The Coalition fleet held position at the edge of Haven System as more human vessels continued to emerge from concealment. What had initially appeared to be a few dozen ships quickly swelled to hundreds, then thousands. The sheer scale of humanity's hidden armada defied comprehension. Admiral Chen's image remained on the main view screen of the Coalition flagship, her expression patient but urgent. Before we proceed, you need to understand what we've been monitoring at the Galactic Rim. Permission to transmit our sensor data. Fleet Admiral Xentar, the appointed leader of the Coalition expedition, exchanged glances with his senior staff. The Altarian's bioluminescent patches flickered with uncertainty before he nodded. Permission granted. But understand, Admiral Chen, that trust must be earned. Understood, Chen replied. Transmitting now. The data stream that followed overwhelmed the Coalition's sensors initially. 4,000 years of observations, measurements, and analysis flooded their systems. As the tactical displays updated with the information, a cold dread settled over the bridge crew. Beyond the Galactic Rim, in the vast emptiness between galaxies, something moved. The readings showed massive energy signatures, gravitational distortions that bent space itself, and most disturbing of all, purposeful movement toward their galaxy. These signatures, Dr. Varick, the expedition's chief scientist, muttered as she analyzed the data. They matched theoretical models of extragalactic travel. But the scale, it's impossible. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the growing concern. Not impossible. Just beyond anything our galaxy has encountered before. We call them the Harvesters, and according to our calculations, they'll reach the Galactic Rim in less than 50 standard years. Commander Crix stepped forward, his secondary eyes fully open now. Why didn't you warn us sooner? Why wait 4,000 years? A sad smile crossed Chen's face. We tried. When we first detected them, humanity brought our findings to the Galactic Council. We were dismissed, accused of warmongering, of trying to militarize the galaxy under false pretenses. Some species even suggested we had fabricated the threat to justify our expansion. The human admiral's expression hardened. So we made a choice. If the galaxy wouldn't prepare with us, we would prepare alone. Every human colony was evacuated to secret locations. Every resource was redirected to building defenses. Every generation was trained for the war we knew was coming. And now, Admiral Centaur asked, his voice carefully neutral. Now, the threat is close enough that your own sensors can confirm it. Now we offer you the same choice we made 4 millennia ago. Stand with us, or face the harvesters alone. The coalition leadership retreated to a secure conference room to debate. The discussion was heated, with some delegates still skeptical despite the evidence. Others were concerned about humanity's military buildup, wondering if the cure might be worse than the disease. Crix found himself speaking up. I've been studying the historical records since we discovered the beacon. Every major technological advancement in the past 5,000 years, the quantum barriers that protect our colonies, the early warning systems that prevent surprise attacks, the medical breakthroughs that saved entire species from plague, they all have one thing in common. They were human innovations, shared freely with the galaxy. He paused, letting the words sink in. Humanity could have used their 4,000 years of advancement to conquer us easily. Instead, they prepared to defend us. That tells me everything I need to know about their intentions. The debate continued for hours, but gradually, consensus emerged. The evidence was undeniable. The threat was real. And humanity, despite their isolation, had never truly abandoned the galaxy. When they reconvened with Admiral Chen, Admiral Centaur spoke for the coalition. We've reviewed your data and reached a decision. The Galactic Coalition formally requests humanity's assistance in preparing for the Harvester threat. We stand ready to integrate our forces with yours. For the first time since contact had been established, Chen smiled genuinely. Thank you. You've made the right choice. With your permission, I'd like to invite a delegation aboard our command station. There's much to discuss and little time to waste. The journey to humanity's command station took them deeper into the Haven system. Along the way, they passed training facilities where thousands of ships ran combat drills with precision that spoke of generations of practice. They saw industrial complexes that dwarfed anything in Coalition space, churning out weapons and defensive systems at an astounding rate. The command station itself was a marvel of engineering. A structure the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons and sensor arrays. As the Coalition delegation was escorted through its corridors, they couldn't help but notice how every human they passed moved with purpose, with the bearing of people who had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. In the station's strategic command center, they were introduced to the full scope of humanity's preparations. Holographic displays showed defensive lines planned across the galaxy, evacuation protocols for threatened systems, and integration plans for coalition forces. We've had 4,000 years to run simulations, explained General Rodriguez, the head of strategic planning. Every possible invasion route, every defensive scenario, every contingency has been mapped out. But simulations only go so far. Having the full galaxy united will make all the difference. Dr. Sarah Kim, the lead scientist on the Harvester Research Project, presented their findings on the enemy. Based on our observations and the few probe encounters we've managed, the Harvesters appear to be a collective of species that strip galaxies of resources, energy, matter, even sapient life. They're not conquerors in the traditional sense. They're consumers. The presentations continued for days, each one revealing new aspects of the threat and humanity's preparations. Advanced weapon systems that could crack planets, shield technologies that could protect entire star systems, and most importantly, detailed intelligence on the Harvester's apparent weaknesses. They're not invincible, Admiral Chen emphasized during a strategic briefing. Their technology is advanced, but it follows patterns. They're systematic, almost predictable in their approach. That's their strength, but also their weakness. As the coalition delegates absorbed the magnitude of what lay ahead, they also witnessed something remarkable happening throughout human space. The isolation was ending. Communications channels that had been silent for 4 millennia came alive as humanity reached out to their former allies. Ships that had been hidden in pocket dimensions and deep space facilities emerged to rejoin the galaxy. On the seventh day of meetings, a young human officer burst into the conference room with urgent news. "Admiral, we've detected a Harvester scout probe. It's crossed the rim ahead of schedule." The room fell silent. Admiral Chen stood slowly, her expression grim but determined. "How far?" "3 sectors from the rim. At their current pace, the main force will arrive in 30 standard years, not 50. The news struck the coalition delegates like a physical blow. 30 years to prepare an entire galaxy for war against an enemy that consumed entire civilizations. Admiral Chen turned to face the assembled leaders. "This changes our timeline, but not our purpose. The question now is simple. Are you with us?" One by one, the delegates stood. Admiral Centaur spoke for them all. "We stand with humanity. We stand with the galaxy. Let the Harvesters come. They'll find us ready." In the days that followed, the galaxy transformed. The coalition fleet served as escorts as human ships emerged from hiding and took up defensive positions across threatened sectors. Ancient alliances were renewed and new ones forged. Species that had been enemies for centuries put aside their differences in the face of the greater threat. Crix found himself appointed as liaison between human and coalition forces, his discovery of the beacon having sparked this reunification. As he worked alongside human officers, he was struck by their dedication. Every man, woman, and child in human space had been raised with the knowledge of what was coming. They had sacrificed normal lives, staying hidden from the galaxy they loved, all to be ready for this moment. The integration of forces wasn't without challenges. Human technology had advanced far beyond coalition standards, requiring extensive training and adaptation. But the humans were patient teachers, sharing not just their weapons but their knowledge freely. "We've had 4,000 years to prepare the sword," Admiral Chen told the coalition leadership during one planning session. "Now we need to teach you how to wield it." Training academies were established across the galaxy. Coalition officers learned human tactics while human commanders studied coalition capabilities. Scientists from 100 species worked together to improve and adapt technologies. For the first time in galactic history, every civilized species was united in common purpose. As the months passed, long-range sensors tracked the Harvester approach. The scout probes grew more frequent, testing defenses, gathering intelligence. Each encounter provided valuable data, but also served as a chilling reminder of what was coming. During a quiet moment between planning sessions, Crix found Admiral Chen standing alone in an observation deck, gazing out at the stars. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked. "The isolation, the sacrifice." Chen was quiet for a long moment. Every human child for 4,000 years has grown up knowing they were part of something larger than themselves. They've never known the peace of ignorance, the simple joy of a life without purpose. So yes, there are regrets. She turned to face him. "But when I see the galaxy united, when I see species that were enemies now standing shoulder to shoulder, when I know that because of our sacrifice, we actually have a chance, then I know it was worth it." As the first year of preparation drew to a close, the galaxy had transformed. Defense networks stretched across sectors. Fleet bases stood ready at strategic points. Evacuation protocols were in place for vulnerable worlds. The Galactic Coalition, now truly united with humanity, faced the approaching storm with determination. In a ceremony broadcast across the galaxy, Admiral Chen stood alongside Admiral Centaur and the other coalition leaders. The human admiral's voice carried to every inhabited world, every ship, every defensive position. For 4,000 years, humanity has stood watch in the darkness. We've prepared, we've sacrificed, we've waited, but we never forgot who we were protecting. Today, we stand together once more. Today, the children of Earth rejoin their brothers and sisters among the stars. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembled dignitaries. The Harvesters are coming. They've consumed galaxies before us. But they've never faced a galaxy united. They've never faced the combined might of species who refuse to go quietly into the night. Admiral Centaur stepped forward, his bioluminescent patches pulsing with resolve. Once we dismissed humanity's warning. Once we let fear and mistrust divide us. No more. Today we stand as one. Today we prepare for war. The ceremony ended with the unveiling of humanity's greatest creation, the Sentinel Array, a network of defensive platforms that would serve as the galaxy's first line of defense. As the massive structures came online one by one, their energy signatures visible across parsecs, a message went out to the approaching harvesters. The galaxy was ready. Humanity had returned. And this time, they would not stand alone. Crix watched the ceremony from his post aboard a human dreadnought, now serving as a bridge between species in the integrated command structure. The 4,000 years of silence had ended. The time of preparation was giving way to the time of action. As alerts began coming in of increased harvester activity at the rim, as fleets moved into position and defenses came online, he reflected on how much had changed since that day he'd discovered the ancient beacon. Humanity's return hadn't just brought advanced weapons or tactical knowledge. It had brought something more valuable: hope, unity, and the reminder that sometimes the greatest strength comes from standing together. The war was coming. The harvesters approached with the inevitability of a cosmic tide. But the galaxy no longer waited in ignorance or division. 4,000 years of silence had ended with one signal, and with it came humanity's greatest gift: the chance to face the darkness united. As the stars burned overhead and the first long-range warnings of the Harvester main fleet reached the defense networks, Commander Crix allowed himself a small smile. Whatever came next, whatever the cost, they would face it together. The silence had been broken. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same.